Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the English in Moments podcast. I'm your host, Elena. In today's episode, we are embarking on our most ambitious lesson to date. We often talk about fluency on this show, but what does it truly mean? It means navigating any situation, from the everyday to the unexpected, with confidence and poise. It means the words flow naturally without hesitation. To achieve that, you need more than vocabulary lists. You need to hear the language in context. That is why today, we are going to work through over 200 real life English conversations in one comprehensive audio masterclass. This episode is meticulously designed to be your ultimate guide to spoken English. We will cover virtually every scenario imaginable: casual social chats, complex service interactions, crucial workplace discussions, travel situations, and even those difficult conversations we sometimes try to avoid. By immersing yourself in these examples and my detailed explanations, you will internalize the rhythm, tone, and specific phrasing that native speakers use. This is not about memorization, it's about building a deep, intuitive understanding of the language. Our goal is to take you from being a student of English to being a confident user of English in the real world. This will be a long and detailed session, so I encourage you to get comfortable, perhaps while on a walk or during your commute, and prepare to elevate your English skills to a level you never thought possible. Make sure you're following us on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. Now let's begin. Let's start with the foundations of social interaction. Mastering social English is the key to building relationships. These conversations are about warmth, connection, and showing genuine interest. Listen closely, not just to the words, but to the intention behind them. We'll begin with chance encounters and greetings. For example, you might say, "Well, hello there, Mark. Fancy running into you here." This is a wonderfully enthusiastic and natural way to greet a friend. The phrase, "fancy running into you," is a common, slightly informal expression that conveys a delightful surprise. It's much more dynamic than a simple, "nice to see you." Your tone here should be bright and audibly happy, conveying warmth from the very first moment. After your friend expresses their surprise, you could say, "I've been keeping busy, but all is well." "You're looking great. How's everything on your end?" This response is perfectly structured. First, you give a brief, positive answer about yourself. Then you offer a compliment which builds rapport. Finally, you turn the question back to them with, "How's everything on your end?" Zrania, which is a slightly more sophisticated alternative to just asking, "And you?" If they ask about your weekend, a good response is, "It was wonderfully relaxing. I just stayed in and caught up on some reading." "And you?" Sharing a small specific detail makes the conversation feel authentic, and using an adverb like "wonderfully" adds color to your language. Always remember to ask the question back to keep the conversation balanced. If they share an activity, you can show you're listening by saying, "Oh, I've heard it's beautiful there. We must catch up properly soon." The phrase, "we must catch up properly soon," is a key social lubricant. It signals the end of this brief encounter while expressing a desire for a more meaningful future connection. Properly implies a longer, dedicated conversation. To finalize the plan, you might say, "Sounds like a plan. I'll text you. Great seeing you." Sounds like a plan is a common affirmative response. Stating the next action, like I'll text you, shows initiative and makes the plan more concrete, while a warm closing, like great seeing you, concludes the interaction on a positive note. Now let's move on to small talk in various scenarios. Making a positive observation about your shared environment is a classic opener. At a cafe, you could say, "This place has a wonderful ambiance, doesn't it?" Ambiance is a sophisticated word for the atmosphere, and the tag question, "doesn't it?" actively invites the other person to respond. To continue, you might say, "I've never been here before. Have you tried their pastries? They look divine." This shows a little vulnerability and then asks for a recommendation, which can make the other person feel comfortable, and using a strong adjective like divine makes your language more expressive. While waiting in a long line, you could remark, "It seems to be a popular time. I hope the line moves quickly." This is a neutral way of acknowledging a shared, slightly negative experience and is very relatable. To reframe the wait positively, you could add, "I don't mind waiting for something good. I've heard the coffee here is worth it." This shows optimism and serves as an indirect compliment to the establishment. Of course, talking about the weather is a universal form of small talk. You could say, "What an exceptionally warm day we're having, wouldn't you agree?" Using exceptionally elevates the vocabulary, and "wouldn't you agree?" is a slightly more formal and polite alternative to "isn't it?" A good way to build on a weather comment is to agree and add new information, such as, "Yes, it is, though I did hear there's a chance of precipitation later." Using precipitation is a more formal term for rain or snow. People also love their pets, so complimenting an animal is almost always a welcome conversation starter. Try, "Your dog is absolutely adorable. What breed is he?" Following up with a specific question shows genuine interest. To make it more personal, you could add, "He seems to have such a friendly personality," which goes beyond physical appearance to comment on the animal's character. In a short, potentially awkward space like an elevator, a simple, positive, well wishing remark is perfect. On a Monday, try, "Hope you have a good start to your week." Or on a Friday, "Looking forward to the weekend." This connects with a shared positive feeling of anticipation. Next, let's discuss giving and receiving compliments. A specific compliment is more sincere. For instance, one person might say, "That's a fantastic color on you." A gracious receiver could reply, "Oh, thank you so much. You're very kind to say so." This response expresses gratitude and then returns a compliment to the giver's kindness. For another example, the giver might say, "I love your new haircut." Using "I love" makes the compliment personal and strong. The receiver could accept and add a personal touch by saying, "Thanks. I was a bit nervous to try something new." This makes the interaction more genuine. In a professional setting, specificity is key. Someone might say, "That was a brilliant presentation. Your points were so clear and compelling." A professional and humble response would be, "Thank you, I really appreciate that. I'm glad it came across well." This focuses on the outcome of the work. If someone says, "You handled that difficult client with such professionalism," they are recognizing your skill under pressure. You could reply, "Thanks. It was a challenging situation, so I'm glad I managed it okay." This acknowledges the difficulty, which validates the compliment. When complimented on a skill like cooking, someone might say, "You're an amazing cook." "This lasagna is out of this world." Using enthusiastic language and idioms makes the compliment more powerful. A warm response could be, "Oh, I'm so glad you like it. It's an old family recipe." Sharing a small piece of context adds a nice personal touch. For possessions, a simple, "What a beautiful watch," is always appropriate. A good reply is, "Thank you, it was actually a gift," which adds a small story. Compliments can also be about a person's character. For example, "You have such a great sense of humor," is very personal and highly valued. Another is, "You're always so positive." It's really refreshing, which acknowledges a person's disposition and its positive effect on others. In a professional context, "I really admire your work ethic," is one of the highest compliments, showing you respect their dedication. Finally, "You explain things so well," is a fantastic compliment that recognizes someone's ability to communicate and share knowledge. Conversations about media like books and movies are a great way to find common ground. You could start with, "Have you seen the latest season of The Crown? I'm completely engrossed." This names a specific show and expresses your strong feeling, inviting the other person to share their opinion. A more open ended approach is, "I just finished reading a fascinating book. Have you read anything good lately?" This allows the other person to talk about any book they choose. When expressing your own opinion, try to be balanced. For example, "I thought the plot was a little predictable, but the acting was superb." This shows critical thinking, asking for a recommendation like, "I'm looking for a new series to watch. Any suggestions?" And swing is a form of compliment, implying you trust their judgment. When you agree with someone, use an intensifier and add a specific observation, such as, "Oh, I completely agree. The cinematography was breathtaking." To disagree politely, first validate their opinion and then use softening language. For example, "I can see why you'd say that, but for me, the ending didn't quite work." This presents your view as a personal perspective. To show you have an open mind, you could say, "I'm not usually a fan of sci fi, but that movie was an exception." When debating a book versus its movie adaptation, you might say, "The book was so much better than the movie, in my opinion." Adding, "in my opinion," acknowledges the subjectivity of your statement. In a group, it's considerate to say, "Let's not spoil the ending for anyone who hasn't seen it yet." This shows social awareness. A great follow up question is, "Who's your favorite character in the show?" This moves the conversation to personal connections. Navigating social invitations requires clarity and tact. To make a formal invitation, you could say, "We're hosting a dinner party next Saturday, and we would be delighted if you could join us." The phrase, "we would be delighted," is very warm and traditional. An informal invitation might be, "A few of us are going for a picnic on Sunday. Would you like to come along?" Come along is a casual and welcoming phrasal verb. For a casual meetup, try, "Are you free for a coffee sometime this week?" This is low commitment and flexible. To accept a formal invitation, mirror its formality. "Thank you for the kind invitation. We would love to attend." To accept an informal one, be enthusiastic. "That sounds fantastic." "Count me in. What can I bring?" Asking what to bring is a very polite gesture. A casual acceptance could be, "Sure, I'd love to." "What time works for you?" followed by a practical question. To decline an invitation politely, be appreciative first. That's very kind of you to invite me, but I'm afraid I have a prior commitment that evening. A prior commitment is a polite, vague reason. An informal refusal can still be warm. Oh, I'm so sorry, I'd love to, but I'm busy on Sunday. Thanks so much for thinking of me, though. If you genuinely want to see the person, soften the no by proposing an alternative. I can't make it this weekend, unfortunately. But I'd love to catch up soon. Are you free at all next week? If you don't want to offer a reason, you can say, thank you for the invite, but I won't be able to make it this time. I hope you all have a wonderful time. This is polite and gracious. Now let's move to part 2, navigating services and transactions. These are the practical, goal-oriented conversations that make daily life function. Here, clarity and politeness are paramount. Let's start with the expanded cafe and restaurant experience. To make a reservation, a gold standard phrase is, "Hello, I'd like to book a table for 2 for this Friday at 7:30 p.m. as please." It's polite and provides all necessary information clearly. An alternative, if you're flexible, is, "Do you have any availability for a party of 6 tomorrow evening?" Using the key vocabulary word availability. When you arrive with a booking, you say, "Hi, we have a reservation for 8 p.m. under the name Johnson." If you don't have one, you state your party size and can add a polite request. "A table for 2, please." Would it be possible to sit by the window? The phrase, "Would it be possible to," acknowledges that your request may not be feasible. If you're not ready to order, it's perfectly acceptable to say, "Could you give us a moment longer to decide, please?" The word longer implies you are nearly there. When ordering, the most common and polite way is to say, "I'll have the grilled salmon." You can follow this with a clear question like, "Could you tell me what vegetables it comes with?" Another soft alternative to "I want" is, "I think I'll go with the steak. I'd like it cooked medium rare, please," which includes a crucial specific request. When dealing with allergies, you must be direct and clear. "I have a nut allergy. Is the pesto sauce safe for me to eat?" During the meal, you can get a server's attention with, "Excuse me," and make a request like, "Could we possibly get some more water for the table?" The phrase, "could we possibly," is extremely polite. If there's a problem, a polite complaint works best. Start with softeners. "I'm terribly sorry to bother you, but my soup seems to be cold." Then state the problem factually and propose a solution. Would it be possible to have it warmed up? Another example is, "Pardon me, but I believe I ordered the chicken, not the fish." "I believe I ordered" is softer and less accusatory. To finish the meal, you can say, "We're all set, thank you." "Could we have the bill, please?" The phrase, "we're all set," signals you are finished. If you need to split the payment, ask clearly, "Would it be possible to split the bill between the 4 of us?" As you pay, it's always a kind gesture to offer a compliment. "Everything was delicious, thank you so much." Finally, to take leftovers home, the standard North American phrase is, "Could I get this to go, please?" Now for a comprehensive shopping trip. If a staff member offers help but you want to look around on your own, a polite and standard way to decline is, "I'm just browse for now, thank you." The word browse is key. To ask for a specific item, be direct and efficient. "Excuse me, I'm looking for a black leather jacket. Do you have any in stock?" In stock means available for purchase. In a larger store, to ask for directions to a specific area, you can say, "Could you tell me where I might find the stationery section?" The use of might makes the question slightly softer. To ask for a different size, the phrase, "Do you happen to have this available in a medium?" is a very polite and slightly indirect way of asking. If you want to try it on, a simple acceptance followed by a practical question works well. "Yes, please. Where are the fitting rooms located?" When giving feedback on the fit, use softeners like "a little." "This one is a little too tight. Do you have the next size up?" The next size up is the standard phrase for a larger size. If it fits well, you can say enthusiastically, "It's a perfect fit." "I'll take it." It's also common to ask practical questions such as, "Is this machine washable?" Or for expensive items, "Does this product come with a warranty?" At the checkout, a standard and polite way to begin is, "Hi, I'd like to purchase these items, please." You can also ask about extra services like, "Do you offer gift wrapping?" State your payment preference clearly. "I'd like to pay by card, please." If you need to return an item, be direct and have your proof of purchase ready. "Hello, I'd like to return this sweater. I bought it last week and here's the receipt." Provide a simple, clear reason, such as, "Unfortunately, it doesn't fit properly." "Could I get a refund, please?" Refund means you want your money back. If you don't have the receipt, acknowledge it up front. "I don't have the receipt, but would it be possible to get store credit?" Store credit is often possible when a cash refund is not. Let's continue with transactions at the bank and post office. At the bank, you can say, "I'd like to open a new savings account, please. What documents do I need?" This shows you are prepared. In a stressful situation like losing a card, be calm and direct. "I seem to have lost my debit card. I need to report it as lost and order a replacement." For a standard transaction, use key banking terms. "I need to make a withdrawal of $200. If you question a charge on your statement, a polite way is, "Could you help me understand this charge on my statement?" Logically, which is less confrontational than, "What is this charge?" For a complex transaction, state your goal clearly from the start. "I'd like to transfer some money to an international account." At the post office, state your destination and ask an open question like, "I need to send this package to Canada. What are my shipping options?" For a simple purchase, be direct and polite. "Could I have 5 first-class stamps, please?" A practical question is, "How long will this take to arrive approximately?" Using approximately acknowledges the answer is an estimate. For international mail, it's crucial to ask, "Does this need a customs form filled out?" To follow your package's journey, you can request, "I'd like to get tracking on this parcel, please." Next are conversations dealing with home and auto services. When calling a tradesperson, be specific about the problem and your goal. "Hello, I have a leaky pipe under my kitchen sink and I need to schedule a visit." When reporting a technical issue, provide the duration and any steps you've already taken. "The internet has been down for about an hour. I've already tried restarting the router." With a landlord, using the formal verb to report is appropriate. "Hi, I'm calling to report that the heating in my apartment isn't working." At a car repair shop, you don't need to be a mechanic. Just describe the problem simply. "My car is making a strange rattling noise. Could you take a look at it?" To avoid financial surprises, it's very wise to ask, could you give me an estimate of the cost before you begin any work? For scheduling personal services, a simple and standard phrase is, I'd like to book an appointment for a haircut, please. When you're there, be as specific as possible. I'd like to keep the length, but just trim the split ends. Or the classic instruction, just a little off the top and shorter on the sides, please. At the dry cleaners, be clear. I'd like to have this suit dry cleaned. And always ask the necessary question, could you tell me when it will be ready for pickup? Now for part 3, Professional English for Success. The workplace requires communication that is clear, respectful, and goal-oriented. Let's start by mastering meetings. A perfect, concise opening is, good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. Let's get started. It's crucial to state the objective at the beginning to focus everyone's attention. The main objective of today's meeting is to discuss the quarterly budget. To introduce your opinion, a great phrase is, from my perspective, the best course of action would be to... This is confident yet acknowledges other perspectives. To contribute a point without interrupting, use, I'd like to add that we should also consider the long-term implications. To foster a team environment, acknowledge a colleague's point before adding your own. To build on what Sarah said, I think we could... It is perfectly fine to ask for repetition. A polite and specific phrasing is, I'm sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it? If you understand the basic point but need more detail, use the professional verb elaborate. Could you elaborate on that point for me? A powerful technique is active listening, where you paraphrase what you heard to confirm understanding. So, if I'm understanding correctly, you're suggesting that This prevents miscommunication. To interrupt politely, ask for permission. If I may just jump in for a moment, another strategy is to apologize first. Excuse me for interrupting, but I have a quick question on that. When you agree, state it clearly. I completely agree with that approach. To disagree respectfully, first show you have listened. I understand your point, but I have a slightly different perspective on this. For partial agreement, you can say, I agree with you up to a point, but I also think we need to factor in the risks. Before a meeting ends, a quick summary of decisions is vital. To summarize, we've agreed to move forward with option B. Finally, wrap up is a common idiom for finishing, and clearly stating the action items is the most important part of concluding a productive meeting. Let's wrap up. The action items are, John will draft the proposal, and Maria will collate the data. In our modern workplace, mastering video conference etiquette is just as important. The standard audio check at the beginning is, can everyone hear me okay? Always announce your intention before you share your screen, then ask for confirmation. I'm going to share my screen now. Can you all see the presentation? To politely inform someone their audio connection is poor, you can say, sorry, you're breaking up a little. Could you say that again? Breaking up is the common phrasal verb for an intermittent signal. If there's a delay, you can say, I think there's a bit of a lag. If your own internet is unstable, it's good etiquette to announce, I'm having some connection issues. I'm going to turn off my video, which can help improve your audio quality. The chat function is a key tool, so direct everyone's attention to it. I'll post the link in the chat for everyone. A fundamental rule is to mute yourself when not speaking to show respect. I'm going to put myself on mute to avoid any background noise. When you finish your part, provide a clear conclusion and a smooth transition to the next speaker. That's all from me. Now I'll hand it over to David. For larger meetings, manage questions in an orderly fashion. If you have a question, please use the raise hand feature. To end the call, a warm and professional closing is, "Thanks everyone for a productive meeting. Have a great rest of your day." Next, let's cover giving and receiving feedback. A respectful way to ask for feedback is, "When you have a moment, could you take a look at this draft and let me know your thoughts?" When you have a moment acknowledges the other person is busy. To show proactivity and a desire for growth, you can ask, "I'd really appreciate your feedback on how I can improve my presentations." This is highly respected. When giving positive feedback, be specific to make it more meaningful. Great job on the report. It was incredibly thorough and well researched. Praising a colleague's skill in handling a specific event shows you are observant. I was really impressed by the way you handled that negotiation. For constructive feedback, the sandwich method is effective. Start with something positive, then deliver the criticism as a suggestion. The report is a strong start. One area we could strengthen is the data visualization section. Perhaps we could add a few more charts. Phrasing criticism as a suggestion for the future is a non-confrontational way to address a problem. I have a suggestion that might make the process more efficient next time. When receiving any kind of feedback, your first response should always be gratitude. "Thank you so much for that feedback. It's really helpful." This shows you are open and professional. To show you plan to act on it, you can say, "I appreciate you pointing that out. I'll make that revision." If feedback is vague, it is perfectly acceptable to ask for more detail. That's a fair point. Could you give me a specific example of what you mean? A great idiom to show you will consider the advice is, "Thanks for the suggestions. I'll take those on board for the next project." Networking at events is another key professional skill. A standard introduction should include your name, company or role, and a polite opening. "Hi, I'm Elena. I work in marketing at XYZ Corporation. It's a pleasure to meet you." Immediately ask an open-ended question about the other person, as good networking is more about listening. "So, what brings you to this conference, or what's your line of work?" Using the shared event as a topic is a great way to find common ground. This has been a fantastic event so far. Did you catch the keynote speech this morning? Listen for opportunities to create a connection between their work and yours. "Oh, you work in finance? I collaborate closely with our finance team." To make staying in touch more concrete, suggest a specific platform. "I'd love to connect on LinkedIn. What's the best way to find you?" Offering your business card is standard practice. "Here's my business card. Feel free to reach out if you'd like to chat further." "Feel free to reach out" is a warm, low-pressure invitation. To exit a conversation politely, express pleasure, give a simple reason, and reiterate your desire to connect. "It was really great talking to you. I'm going to go grab a coffee, but I hope we can connect again soon." A very courteous way to exit is to frame it as consideration for their time. "Well, I don't want to monopolize your time. Enjoy the rest of the conference." A good follow-up email should be prompt and specific. "Hi, David. It was a pleasure meeting you at the conference yesterday. I enjoyed our conversation about..." To take the connection to the next level, your follow up should propose a clear, low commitment next step. As we discussed, I'd be keen to learn more about your work. Would you be open to a brief coffee meeting sometime next week? Let's move to part 4, travel, exploration, and health. These conversations help you navigate the world outside your daily routine. Let's begin with expanded travel scenarios. At airport check-in, be ready to clearly state the number and type of your bags. I only have this one bag to check and one carry-on. To check means luggage for the cargo hold. Carry-on is for the cabin. A simple, direct question for airline staff is the flight on time? At security, it's best to ask if you are unsure to keep the line moving. Do I need to take my laptop out of the bag? Gate changes can happen, so it's sensible to double-check. I'd like to confirm that this is the correct gate for the flight to London. In the stressful situation of lost luggage, stay calm and use clear language. My luggage didn't arrive on the carousel. I need to file a report. At the hotel, the standard check-in line is, "Hello, I have a reservation under the name Elena." Afterwards is the perfect time to ask practical questions. Could you tell me what time breakfast is served? Or, what's the Wi-Fi password? If there's a problem with your room, call the front desk and state the issue politely. Excuse me, the air conditioning in my room doesn't seem to be working. Doesn't seem to be working is slightly softer than is broken. The hotel concierge is a fantastic source of local knowledge, so ask for their opinion. Could you recommend a good local restaurant for dinner? To check out, a clear and simple statement is, "I'd like to check out, please. Room 405. At the car rental counter, state the key details of your booking up front. I have a reservation for a compact car for 3 days. Rental agents often offer extra insurance, so you can ask, should I purchase the additional insurance coverage? At a tourist information center, use phrases like must-see sites to ask for the top attractions. Could you recommend any must-see sites for a first-time visitor? A simple and essential question for any tourist is, do you have a city map? And to ask for advice on transportation, what's the best way to get to the museum from here? Is an open question that could lead to advice about walking, public transport, or a taxi. Next are health and wellness conversations. When calling a doctor's office, state your purpose clearly. I'd like to make an appointment to see Dr. Smith. I've been feeling unwell. A brief reason can help the receptionist triage the urgency. When describing symptoms to a doctor, be as specific and factual as possible. Persistent is a good vocabulary word for a cough that won't go away. I have a persistent cough, a sore throat, and a headache. Fatigued is a more clinical word for tired, which can help you describe your condition more accurately. I've been feeling very fatigued for the past few days. A crucial question for your doctor or pharmacist is this medication likely to have any side effects? Side effects are the unintended secondary effects of a drug. Before leaving the doctor's office, always clarify the next steps. Do I need a follow-up appointment? At the pharmacy, the standard opening line when dropping off a prescription is, I have a prescription here from doctor Smith. If you need medicine that doesn't require prescription, you can say, I'm looking for something over the counter for allergy relief. Even if it's written down, it's wise to ask the pharmacist to verbally confirm the dosage. Could you explain the dosage for this medication to me? At a gym, a clear inquiry is, I'm interested in a membership. Could you tell me about your monthly rates? Rates is the common word for prices for a service. If you're interested in a specific service, ask about it directly. Do you offer any personal training packages? Packages implies a bundle of sessions, often at a better price. Finally, we arrive at part 5, handling difficult and delicate situations. This is where fluency truly shines, in moments that require tact, empathy, and careful wording. Let's start with making apologies and forgiving. A very formal and professional apology is, "My sincerest apologies for my tardiness. The traffic was far more congested than I anticipated." Sincerest apologies is stronger than, "I'm sorry." And tardiness is a formal word for being late. A good personal apology is prompt, sincere, gives a quick reason, and shifts the focus back to the other person. "I'm so sorry I missed your call. I was in a meeting. Is everything okay?" In a professional setting, the best apology takes ownership, expresses sincere regret, and states that you are already taking action to fix the problem. "I realize now that I made an error in the report. I deeply apologize and I'm already working on the correction." When apologizing for hurting someone's feelings, it's important to name the transgression and take ownership of its impact. "I am so sorry for what I said earlier. It was thoughtless and I didn't mean to hurt you." A gracious way to accept an apology is to acknowledge their effort and state the acceptance clearly. "Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. Apology accepted." A more casual and reassuring way, especially for a minor issue, is, "Don't worry about it. These things happen." This minimizes the mistake. A direct but kind way to accept and move on is, "It's all right. Let's just move on." If the apology included a reason, a good response is, "I understand. Thank you for explaining." An honest and healthy way to accept is to acknowledge your feelings but confirm the apology has repaired the situation. "I was a bit upset, but I appreciate you apologizing. We're okay." A very casual idiom for a minor offense is, "No harm done." Now let's cover expressing sympathy and condolences. For minor issues like illness, a simple expression of sorrow and a warm wish for recovery is perfect. "I'm so sorry to hear you're not feeling well. I hope you feel better soon." Offering gentle advice also shows you care. Take care of yourself and get plenty of rest. For major difficulties like a job loss, acknowledge the gravity and make a genuine offer of support. "I was so sorry to hear your news. That sounds incredibly difficult. I'm here for you if you need anything at all." Offering your time to listen is one of the most valuable things you can do. Please don't hesitate to reach out if you need to talk. When expressing condolences for a death, especially in writing, standard formal phrases are often best. "I am so sorry for your loss. My thoughts are with you and your family during this difficult time." If you knew the person who passed away, sharing a brief positive memory can be very comforting. "I was heartbroken to hear about your grandfather. He was a wonderful man." Sometimes acknowledging the inadequacy of words is the most honest thing you can say. "There are no words. Please accept my deepest condolences." A simple, warm way to let someone know they are in your thoughts is, "Thinking of you in these tough times." A standard offer of help is, "If there's anything at all I can do, please let me know." The standard heartfelt response when someone offers you their sympathy is, "Thank you, that means a lot to me." Lastly, let's discuss polite disagreement and setting boundaries. The classic structure for polite disagreement is to first validate their view, then state your alternative idea. I see your point, however. I think we should also consider a very soft way to disagree is I'm not sure I entirely agree with that assessment. I'm not sure and entirely both weaken the disagreement. A way to avoid direct disagreement is to frame the other person's idea as just one option among many. That's one way of looking at it. Another perspective is that when turning down a request for help, it's good practice to express the desire to help, provide a clear reason, and apologize. I'd love to help, but I'm completely swamped with my own deadline right now. I'm sorry. A professional way to say no is to show gratitude for the offer and use a business idiom to explain you lack the capacity. Thank you for considering me for this project, but I don't have the bandwidth to take on anything new at the moment. If you must interrupt, do so politely by apologizing and stating your purpose clearly. Excuse me for jumping in, but before we move on, I need to clarify something. A neutral and polite way to respond to unsolicited advice you may not agree with is, I appreciate you sharing your thoughts. I'll definitely keep that in mind. When setting a personal boundary, reaffirming the relationship first can soften the impact. I really value our friendship, but I'm not comfortable discussing that topic. The apology sandwich is perfect for complaining to a neighbor. Start with an apology, state the problem gently, and frame your request as a question. Hi, Tom. I'm sorry to bother you, but the music was quite loud late last night, and I was wondering if you could keep it down a little after 11 p.m. The formula for politely exiting a conversation is to express enjoyment, state your need to leave, and express a desire for future contact. It's been so lovely catching up, but I really must be going. Let's do this again soon. A firm but polite refusal to a salesperson is, thank you for the information, but I'm not interested at this time. A gentle way to introduce a correction is to use actually and phrase it as your own thought. Actually, I think the meeting is on Wednesday, not Thursday. It might be worth double checking. A great way to clarify your own words is to blame the abstract misunderstanding. I think there may have been a misunderstanding. What I intended to say was, a very polite way to ask someone to move is to use the classic softener. Would you mind, excuse me, would you mind giving me a little more space, please? Finally, a warm and enthusiastic way to refuse food is to compliment it first, then give a clear reason. That looks delicious, thank you, but I couldn't possibly eat another thing. I'm stuffed. As we come to the end of this extensive audio masterclass, I want you to take a moment and reflect. We have journeyed through over 200 distinct conversational scenarios. We've built rapport, navigated complex transactions, contributed to professional discussions, and handled delicate personal moments. Learning a language is not a destination. It's the ongoing journey of building these skills, one conversation at a time, and I thank you for taking such a significant step on that journey with me today. The power of this lesson lies in its realism and its audio format. You can take this episode with you. Listen to it while driving, at the gym, or during your daily walk. Let these phrases and their explanations become a familiar sound. I urge you not to let this be a one-time listen. Come back to this resource. Pick a section that feels challenging and practice it until it feels natural. Shadow the sentences, speaking them aloud right after me. Make these phrases yours. Remember that every fluent speaker you admire once started exactly where you are. They reached fluency not by avoiding mistakes, but by embracing them, by speaking, by trying, and by engaging with the world. Thank you so much for your time and dedication today. If you found this masterclass valuable, please show your support by following English in Moments on your favorite podcast platform. Leaving a review is also one of the best ways to help others discover our show. In the comments section on our platform, let me know which of these 200 conversations you found most useful. This has been Elena, your English learning partner. Keep practicing, keep listening, and keep believing in your ability to communicate with confidence and grace. I will talk to you in our next episode.